I recently started a new building project in Bedford, New York. There are several old buildings on the property, historic buildings, and I wanted the doors, the windows, the woodwork to really fit in with the original architecture. So I chose Reilly Woodworks, where some of the most beautiful woodwork is created on a daily basis here in Calverton, Long Island. Let me introduce you to Michael Reilly. He is the president of Reilly Woodworks here in Calverton. I'm really happy to be here. It's a magnificent operation, Michael.
Well, thank you. Thank you for
So
coming.
how long have you actually been here?
We've been in this facility for 2 years.
So you started, and you were trained as an architect.
Correct.
Are you a fine carpenter yourself?
I started actually doing the work myself.
Oh, you did?
So I started in a little chicken coop in Bridgehampton, and it's been a sequence of moving large equipment ever since.
Right, and this place here in Calverton used to be a factory where F-14s, fighter planes, those planes that we saw in Top Gun with Tom Cruise, were made right in
Correct.
this room,
right in
the
this
final
room.
assembly.
This was where they flew out of this room, actually.
And you have how many square feet here altogether?
This building is 192,000 square feet.
Wow. Well, here we have a project that really involves the restoration of 3 historic houses. This one is called the Winter House, built in around 1928. So once you get the drawing from the architect, and these are from Alan Greenberg, then
Correct.
what do you do?
It goes through a rather lengthy and involved process of taking what is basically a two-dimensional representation of what they're wanting and turning it into what eventually is going to get made as a three-dimensional object. This has all the measurements, all of the machining that's going to happen to it. This is a complete window.
Page
There's
after page after page.
These windows were designed for you, custom made. There are about 20 different custom ground knives in your windows, all of which are yours.
Can I have them after the job?
If you want them.
But I'd love if you just took me around and showed me
Sure,
the
let's
shop.
take a look over here.
All the windows and doors here are made using the same basic steps. The process starts with cutting rough boards to an approximate size. The rough boards then go through a molder, which shapes them and gives the edges a profile. Next, the boards are cut to length, and then holes are drilled for insertion of the dowels. Then it's off to the coping area. Coping is creating a negative of the wood's profile so that 2 pieces will join perfectly. The pieces are glued together, and a huge machine called a CNC, or computer numeric control, then makes various cuts, such as edges for weather stripping and holes for doorknobs. The window jambs are assembled, and the completed windows are off to the finishing area, where they are sprayed with a preservative, primed, and painted. The final assembly line is where glass, screens, and hardware are attached.
This is a couple of sash being the operable part of any window. You'll see that this one is actually fully machined here on this large machine here that does all of that automatically.
Oh, that's
yes.
What a huge machine. Oh, that's an amazing thing. And this door too, this giant door?
Correct. We can fit almost anything on this machine. And its claim to fame is that it's completely computerized. This is a door. This machine is going to come down and it will size it to the appropriate size.
Oh,
It'll trim it. It'll cut all of the weather stripping grooves in it.
Oh.
It will put the mortise for the hinges so the hinges lay flat.
Oh.
It'll mortise for the lock set. It'll drill for the lock set.
How fantastic.
So after it's
everything
done,
that you've had to do by hand.
correct. This was all done by hand, and now it's all done by machine.
And how long will that take to do all of those things to that particular door?
It should take in the neighborhood of about 12 minutes.
Wow, what a time saver.
It is. So why don't I show you where the finished product goes? We'll go into the other hangar and see that. This is our jam assembly area, and this is, again, what holds the sash on the windows in terms of...
So here's the sash inside.
Correct.
The glass.
Sash is inside, this is outside. So this all comes into this room, gets assembled here. Once it's assembled, it joins its sash, and we'll go over here and see that. So
lots of clamps.
yes, the clamps are used because the jams require
Look how many clamps on this job.
They require lots of layers, and as the layers go on, it's critical for what we do to get that a very tight joint. So they use a lot of clamps. These are assembled jams. These are done. And,
so these are also beautifully, and oh look, they've all been cut for the...
Correct. That all happened on the on the computerized equipment.
Right.
And now these are now staged and ready to go over into this finishing area right over here.
So that's the shower painting room.
That's the shower, and that's the oven. Goes through, the preservative gets put on there, comes out. You know how when wood gets wet, it raises the grain?
Right.
Well, after it comes out of there, it has to be scuffed again. We call it scuffed with sandpaper. Smoothed out.
Oh, so is that what he's doing here?
That's what he's doing there.
Okay. So here they all come together.
This is where the glass gets put in the sash, the weather stripping gets put on, the hardware gets put on. It all comes, and then when it's all done, they'll go ahead and test it, make sure that it functions.
And so these are the finished windows here.
Right. These are now staged. What they'll be done, what will be done here is they'll be cleaned, they'll be tested again, and then they'll get wrapped. And then from here, boom, on a truck, and
Amazing.
Another happy homeowner.
And I certainly can attest to that, because everything that I've gotten from Reilly Woodworks has worked, is beautiful, is fine proportion, and wonderfully made. The craftsmanship is superb.
Thank you
I really
very much.
congratulate you on an amazing place.
Thank you.
Later,